I debated even to do a video about this because I'm too lazy, and a person gets kind of tired. Oh, I hate it when it shakes. This damn camera. Okay. Anyway, I hate it when these articles that are written by people who don't remember the damn 60s. And this lady, this columnist, was born, I think, around 1975 or 1976. So she hasn't, she was never a part of the sexual revolution. She doesn't know what in the hell it is. She never lived through it. And the fact of the matter is, this sex-positive horseshit that called itself feminism really was part of that queer theory crap and the libertarian crap that was so popular in the 80s. But it's not sex positive. In fact, anything that supports the extreme of the sexual revolution is in fact sex negative. And anything supporting prostitution, anything supporting pornography, any of that stuff that objectifies women, in other words, it treats them like they're not human beings. They're not a human, but a thing to be fucked and to pop kids out. That is all negative. So there's nothing sex positive. What all that was this fake feminism that said that we're just here for you to fuck. It's all about putting men front and center. And of course it's a co-opted, it's very much a co-opted thing. And real feminism was never big on this. And yeah, in a way, the 60s, in a way, liberated women. The pill that it wasn't taught, that it was less likely that women would have to get married young and have babies young, or even have them at all. Yeah, it's true. On one level, yes, it is. But on another level, it's just women were more exploited than ever in many ways. And every single figure that was of the sexual revolution of the 1960s, every major figure except for Helen Gurley Brown, who I talked about in a previous video, every one of them was a degenerate or a pervert or some kind of, I don't know, just a degenerate. That's just what they were. That was part of what it was. Destroy overthrow all the stringent ideas of the 1950s. Just go the other way. And of course, women were just treated like shit. Even worse by men on the left. And of course, it was men on the left that embraced this crap and thought it was freedom. But the freedom was all for men to just screw anything that walked and not have to take any responsibility for any consequences. And Andrea Dworkin, there's a picture here, and Goldberg mentions her a little bit, but she talked about that, about the 60s, in her book Right Wing Women, which I think is her best work. It's her most accessible work. Most of her books tend to focus on literature, and unless you're into reading classic novels and things like this, it's not going to hold much attention. She was an outstanding writer. She was a great researcher. She was very powerful in her writings, but most of her books tended to focus so much on literature. But that book was, I think, her best book because it cut to the chase. She didn't spend so much time on all the novels and all that kind of stuff. She just went right to the meat of it and why women embrace the right. Why that was, it's because it's a rigged system, and it's just women have to cut the best deal they can because they're afraid of being deserted by their husbands and crap, and be at the mercy of strange men. Of course, that kind of attitude is totally irrational, because you're a hell of a lot more at risk if you live with a man than if you're living alone or navigating the world alone. But she talked about in her chapter on abortion, which I thought was really her best chapter and that book, and she talked about the 1960s and about how it really wasn't liberating for women at all. It just made them more at the mercy of more men. Instead of being at the mercy of one dude in a crappy little marriage, no, these young women were now at the mercy of a whole lot more men. So so it was not. It wasn't really anything. It was nothing what it was cracked up to be. And now, of course, people are finally getting a clue that young people, that no, porn is not liberating. It's slavery. It's destructive of human relationships. It's heavily anti-sex. It's anti-human rights for the women that are in the industry, many of whom are trafficked. It's just garbage, okay? It's garbage. So is prostitution, which of course the two go together, like bacon and eggs or whatever. But it's totally hedonistic, this idea of sex positivity. It's about putting men first. That's what it is. It's not about women at all. It's just the same as the damn 50s. It's just the flip side of it, where women had to cater to men and be good little cooks and good little housewives and good little mommies. Well, here you had to be good little sluts in bed. You had to put men's needs first, and no matter how perverted the men are. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad I'm not a young woman today, because I would be scared to death of dating, because the men are so messed up. Especially if they're under 50, they're just messed up with porn. And we've got generations of men now, young guys, growing up that think that aberrant sexual practices are normal. And yet women, because they're still, mommies especially, are still brainwashing young girls to go dating in their teens. Think of Gabby Petito, be pushed into it, encourage them to date, pair off, when they should be studying, they should be planning a future, they should be developing hobbies and interests. These girls are doing everything that the guys want, and it makes it bad for all the other ones who may not want to do it, and then they're coerced into it. So no, sexual liberation has nothing to do with women's rights. There was an article many years ago, which I haven't seen in years, but it was in the first issue of Ms. Magazine, and the title was "The Sexual Revolution Was Not Our War," and that's exactly true. It was absolutely diametrically opposed to everything that feminism stands for, because it's exploitative, because it's all about worshiping the man and the man's dick, and it has nothing. It's just more exploitation. It's more objectification. And so, yeah, Michelle Goldberg acts like this is anything new. And of course it's coercive. Of course sex is coercive. It's all coercive. Guess what? Our society coerces women into it, trading sex for financial support. They coerce by starving them economically. They coerce them by brainwashing them into having relationships young. That they have to have a relationship or there's just something wrong with them. And when I say relationship, I mean straight women having relationships with men. That's all the priority. So it's like Goldberg, yeah, so what? So what else is new? She acts like she's genuinely shocked about it. There's nothing shocking about it. Of course Dworkin was right about porn. Anybody with a brain knows that. That the 1970s arguments about it don't hold any water. And that's just bullshit. And here, sex positive feminism doesn't exist. Okay? That's a cosmopolitan magazine type of mindset. It didn't do anything for women who felt hemmed in by sexual taboos and pressured to deny their own turn. They weren't even allowed to anyway. All it meant was to put men front and center. That's what it all was. That's all that fakey-wakey stuff was. It has nothing to do with feminism. Because feminism says two things. Feminism is women deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. And two, women have the right to say no to male sexual demands. Or to say no to men in any context. That's it. Nothing else. It's not about if it feels good, do it. That's sexual liberation. That's the sexual revolution of the 60s. And it was not it was anything but liberating. Sorry, but it wasn't.